479 BC, 3416 AM. A united Greek force of over 100,000 men defeated the Persian occupation army camped at Plataea, and the Greek fleet destroyed the Persian fleet at Mycale in Asia Minor. Alexander I of Macedon aided Xerxes in his invasion against the Greeks, but after the Persian defeat at Plataea, he slaughtered many of the retreating Persians. The Macedonians were not Hellenes and were regarded at this time as little more than savages, northern barbarians. Alexander I was debarred from the Olympic Games until he came up with a genealogy showing his alleged Archaeid dynasty connection to the ancient Homeric Argive kings. His greatest military achievement was to lay the foundation in having Macedon accepted into the Hellenic family. This is 148 years, 1776 months, before Alexander of Macedon, called the Great, conquers the Near East and becomes the king of Macedon, Phoenicia, Egypt, Babylon and Persia. This year began Greekdom's position as a world power, independent of foreign intrusion. This was 776 years after the Danaan dynasty of Mycenae began in 1255 BC, an Israelite dynasty. The Olympiad calendar began in 776 BC, and the number 776 emerges many times in world timelines, involving the combined peoples of Greek and Israelite descent. 1. Alexander of Macedon. 476 BC, 3419 AM. At the Olympic Games, the Greeks celebrated their freedom, the festivities adding to the prestige of the Olympic festival. More people gathered for these games than in the history of the Olympics since 776 BC. They had triumphantly defeated both Persia and all her allies, as well as the Carthaginians of North Africa. Victorious, funds were gathered and a new temple of Jupiter was begun, completed in 459 BC, as well as a redesigned stadium. This was the 300th year of the Olympiad calendar, and its calendrics link it to ancient Israel. We have seen how the number 476 relates to Israel in several ways. One example is 1229 BC, when the Danaan aided the Mycenaeans and Greeks in the fall of Troy, 476 years before Israel's greatest enemy was born in 753 BC, the Romans. In 476 AD, the Gothic descendants of the Scythian Israelites, Cimmerians, would defeat Rome, 1229 years after the founding of Rome. In this year at the Olympics, the Greeks literally became one people under the banner of Hellenes. The assimilation of Israelite-descended peoples so complete that throughout Greekdom there was no distinction between the indigenous Japhetic people and the Semitic ones. The Greek civilization we know was the combination of the two peoples. The patriarch Japheth was born in 2339 BC, and this year of Greek celebration and unity was 2339 years Anno Pyramid, the Great Pyramid being the seal of Israel, the Israelites being descended from the Sethite builders of the monuments. This year was also 931 years since Israel became a nation in Canaan in 1407 BC, the year 931 BC being the year the Israelites created their own nation apart from that of Judah and Jerusalem, beginning the divided kingdom chronology, won the Naked Olympics. 474 BC, 3421 AM. The Sicilian Greeks destroyed an Etruscan fleet. 471 BC, 3424 AM. A Roman consul, after a military defeat, ordered every 10th soldier executed for lack of discipline. This is the first recorded instance of the Roman practice of decimation. This was the 38th year of the Republic of Rome. 1. History in quotations. 470 BC, 3425 AM. Xanthos of Lydia was the first Greek writer to mention Zoroaster. He placed this prophet, quote, 600 years before the Trojan War, unquote. As the Trojan War entered in 1229 BC, 600 years, which is an approximate figure only, would be 1829 BC, the exact time Abraham was teaching the sages of the East the prophetic texts and histories in Egypt, as well as translating the Giza texts off the surface of the Great Pyramid. Abraham was well remembered as Zoroaster. See 1837 and 1825 BC. This is the approximate date for the year that Socrates was born at Athens, the Athenian lawgiver, statesman and philosopher, immortalized by Plato. 1. Zoroastrianism. 467 BC, 3428 AM. Anaxagoras of Athens was about 35 years at this time, in the second year of the 78th Olympiad, when he predicted that in a certain number of days a stone would fall from the sky, which he deduced by his advanced knowledge on the motion of the heavens. As predicted, not only did a meteorite crash into Thracia by the river Agos, but that very night appeared a bright comet. This comet was of the Joshua Comet group, which was at that time passing over the ecliptic, after 220 years beneath the inner solar system. Anaxagoras was a student of Anaximenes. He was an Ionian who believed that the stars were faraway suns, that moonlight is merely reflected sunlight, that lunar eclipses are caused by the Earth's shadow, and that the moon is made of earth with plains and ravines on it. He believed that the mind was the mover of all things and is supreme in the universe, and that all sensation was by the stimulation of opposites. The doctrine of mind over matter finds its origin with Anaxagoras. He did not ascribe to the cosmologies of Homer and Hesiod. He was exiled later in life from Athens for denying the divinity of the sun. In this year, Aeschylus composed his famous Seven Against Thebes, concerning the Theban War of 1244 BC, which perhaps coincidentally was the year a comet was seen over Thebes. 1. 3 books on occult philosophy. Also Pliny Natural History, Universe and the World, the First Genesis. 2. History in Quotations. 3. Stolen Legacy. 4. Cosmos of the Ancients.